Sherry Lehman is here, family and sex therapist from suburban Cleveland. And I assume that in your profession you've worked with people of this personality.
Many.
Tell us everything we should know about this.
Everything. Well, really nobody knows anything conclusively about why cross-dressing occurs. There's a lot of speculation, and there's one theory that says it's a prenatal biochemical predisposition from birth or a hormonal imbalance, and that these men then get acted upon by the environment and it brings out the feminine part. And then there's another whole school that says, you know, it's psychological, it's caused in early childhood, there's some disruptive factor, they identify with the female part or against the male parent. I personally feel that there's a physiological base. All of these men that I know, and there's hundreds and thousands and millions in the country, they all have different childhoods. I can't find a common denominator. And they've all felt like this from earliest recollection. And they fight it a good deal of their lives.
It must be a life of misery for those who fight it.
The majority are very miserable. It's like hiding a whole part of yourself that you can't express to anybody. I mean, these two couples are really probably some of the better adjusted that I've ever met.
The exception to the rule.
The exception to the rule. A lot of cross-dressers will try to commit suicide, be severely depressed. Their wives, when they find out, and it's usually a freakish situation, you know, the divorce rate is very high. So it's a life of, you know, quiet desperation for most people.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose you're also here to say that this is not a moral issue.
I suppose it depends on your belief system. But I personally feel that everybody is due respect and dignity if you lead your life according to your ethical beliefs. And these people don't harm anyone. You know, they do what they have to do. They can get controls on it, and that's what I help them do.
Sherry, what about dating? How has it changed?
Well, I think what's changed is, when I was a kid, there were a lot of rules. You didn't have sex before marriage. You just allowed your boyfriend or your date to pet a little. I mean, we knew first base and second base. And I think now there are no rules. And young people of today, you have to come up with your own. Some of it hasn't changed so much. I still think that teenage girls have a hard time saying no. And I think that not having sex is difficult today, whereas when I was a kid, anybody that had sex, we didn't even know about. We laugh. I say married sex or with the same person over a period of time. A lot of times it's sometimes it's and occasionally it's
Well, let's welcome Sherry Lehman. We'll talk about this.
Good morning.
Your daughter told you to behave yourself.
I know she's going to get it.
She's going to get it when she gets. No, she's doing it. You got a good sense of humor. Sherry, we're not going to get graphic here. We're going to try to tone this down a little bit, I think, because, well, first of all, kinky sex is different things to different people, right?
Absolutely, Scott. I think that's what we need to say, that it's according to what you think is kinky. Although we do have a definition of a word called paraphilia, which is outside the normal range of love. And there are some people that do require or do desire sex that is very different and unusual. But for a lot of us, kinky means having the lights on.
There's another side of all this, too. As I recall in Elvis and Me, the book written by Priscilla Presley, she talks about some of their early years between the two of them. They used to dress up in different outfits and take pictures of each other, which apparently Elvis liked a lot, and that was at his initiation. There are people who enjoy the dress-up game. Now, what is your opinion? Is that considered kinky?
It is for a lot of people, and then others find it great fun. Again, when one forces the other to do something and then punishes them if they don't, that's where you get into the part where I say, let's take a look at it and see what's going on.
To the phone. Hi.
Hi. I'd like to ask, how can you approach the subject with your partner and you know, broach the subject of going outside of a normal relationship?
I think, again, when the trust level gets to a certain point, and that's where people usually they wait for that moment. You might say, why don't we talk about some of our likes sexually? You know, I have fantasies sometimes of doing this or doing this, and see what her reaction would be. It's scary, because I think a lot of us think if we tell somebody what we like, they're going to think we are weirdos. But if you really care about somebody, you should be able to do that.
Go ahead, Sherry.
Well, I take issue because I really think that there is an ethical code. I know a lot of us don't subscribe to it, but when someone is married, there is a contract, and when you're a single person and you are involved with a married person, I know I sound conservative, but I've seen so much pain. You enter into that marriage, you are there. Whether you know the person or you don't, you are with them, you are with their children, you are with their grandchildren, you are with their aunts, uncles, etc. You involve a lot of people.